since there's only one person at the moment, might as well begin regardless. Um, so this isn't really going to be a tutorial per se, because obviously I don't generally do tutorials on streams. In fact, this is my very first stream, and this is going to be a very strange sort of video slash stream slash whatever this is going to be, because obviously, as I mentioned, this is the very first thing I've done in a very long time. And let me just double check something. Yeah, I want to get rid of that as well. Okay, so what am I going to be talking about? So Haxe UI. There's not really much in terms of Haxe UI in the sense that you've got a lot of things like the library Haxe UI. You've got also a lot of things where it renders everything for you. You've got bitmaps. You can display things like radio boxes, checkboxes, etc., etc., etc. That's all good when it comes to game development, but when it comes to just straight up logical positioning and setting width and height and actually just getting that information and then customizing it later, you don't generally get those kinds of libraries. So what I'm going to be doing in this, let's say, stream, well, it is a stream, is trying to figure out exactly how we can go about creating a library that is going to allow us to do such a thing. So this library, called Simple Haxe UI, or SHUI, is basically going to allow us to create essentially a series of classes and allow us to just put in some logical points, positions and sizes, and then be able to display the results as we get this particular function here. So this function in particular returns an anonymous structure that represents this control. So the idea is that once you get that and put it into an OpenFL project, a Lux project, whatever project, then we will be able to then just simply do all the rendering ourselves later on, and that makes things a lot easier in the long run. And of course we've got this label which extends the control, and there's going to be a hell of a lot more to it than this. Obviously this is just the beginning of something that could eventually start growing into something, well, better, essentially. And then we've got this flow layout panel, which is where everything pretty much begins. So normally you wouldn't just start with a control or a label. You don't just create them and then just call that display function. Normally you would use a flow layout panel and you would add controls, and then you would call this display function within this flow layout panel, which will do everything for you. So essentially what's going to happen is you would, in fact that's actually wrong, you can't do that. That needs to be control spec, because that needs to be the same definition. So yeah, the flow layout panel, you create it, you specify the padding, how far apart controls are going to be, the flow direction, whether it's going to be down or right, and whether or not we're going to be allowing extending, i.e. scrolling up and down, left and right. And that's essentially how the flow layout panel is going to do. So you would have this flow layout panel that does all of the logical positioning and sizing for you. So I haven't done much with this library, as you can probably tell. We've got a lot of it is in type defs. One of the main reasons why is because they're a lot faster. They're normally created on the stack, a lot easier to access. Whereas if you were to work directly with classes, they are created on the heap and obviously generally a bit slower. So first of all, what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to make this flow layout panel do something. But first of all, before I decide to go ahead and do that, I'm just going to get rid of this so that it can build properly. Let's go back into my command prompt. I was actually testing this beforehand to try and figure out exactly what's going on. Ooh. Oh, I did something wrong. Labeled line 25. I thought oh yes, of course. That's what I was going to do. Right. So what I wanted to do was I wanted this to be a new result, which was going to be the same as a label spec, which inherits control spec, and then you've got this variable here, which is a text string. So we would define that in here, and then what I was thinking of doing was using reflection to push all of the fields in result into the new result, right? Which is the reason why I had that function in here. So let's just go ahead and do that. So public static function push what should I call it? Push fields. Let's just call it push fields, whatever. Okay, so old results, that's going to be a dynamic. New results. Technically reflection is slow, but if you're working with anonymous structures, it is guaranteed to work, so it shouldn't be too slow. So what we would do, we would get every field in the old result. So for I in reflect.fields old result, and then all I'm going to do is just say new result, and I might as well return new result as well. So new no, we want to do reflect dot set field new result. The field is going to be, well, that should probably be called field here. Field, and the value is going to be whatever the field of the old result is going to be. Like that. Okay. So if we go back into here, I'm just going to say new result is going to be equal to utils.pushFields. The old result is going to be result, and new result, like that. And I should probably do that. Yeah, just get rid of that. That's not needed anymore. Okay. Okay, let's check to see if that works. It should work, hopefully. Yep, it's building, that's fine. Let's see if we actually get a meaningful result afterwards as well. Okay. Cool. Almost. Now, first of all, what I want to do is go back into main and check to see if I can actually get something else. Let's try X and see if that's actually displayed something, because I believe the way that output works is it only gets the immediate members of the anonymous structure, not any inherited members. which is what we saw there. That's the only immediate member within that. Oh, it's null. Huh. Interesting. So perhaps we're not actually... So let's do a trace on new result. Or reflect.field. New results. Field. See if that actually successfully went in. Oops. That's not the right one. This is some text. Oh. Huh. So when we pass in old result, it's not actually iterating over the fields, which it should be doing anyway, because we're setting all of these up here. That's odd. So, although that kind of just assumes that the result isn't actually getting the result that we expect from the pair that was inherited from here. That's really weird. Oh. Oh, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. Well done. Let's get rid of that for the time being. And that. That's a bit embarrassing. Right, there we go. Awesome. That should not have happened. I thought there was something wrong. Let's just do that for the timing. Okay. Let's just get rid of that. We don't need that. Probably get rid of this parent actually as well. The reason why the parent is there is because it will be, as it says here, it will be later used to recalculate positioning and size based on anchor points and docking. So eventually you'll be able to anchor and dock controls within this flow layout panel. So now that we know that works, we can actually go ahead and just actually get this flow layout panel working. So we don't want to do this because we're doing it a different way now. So what I'm going to do is, so the idea, let's just move that. I hope you can hear me. So the idea behind this is to iterate through the objects, which is this one here, and then add these children, right, to a new result, and then obviously display that new, and then obviously return that new result. So what I'd like to do was that, yeah, that was labels. I probably want to do that as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is for I in 0 dot 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 objects dot length, and in here what I'd like to do is do children dot push, and obviously this is a control spec, so we could just pull out each object and just call the display function, right? Makes sense. And that'll work with anything that extends from control. And then what we want to do is get a new result, which is going to, of course, be children. That is going to get children like that. So we're doing the same. We're basically doing the same thing as we were doing here, and I'm now just going to do utils.pushFields result new result like that. So now obviously we're not actually doing any operations on this flow direction or padding yet, but I just want to get the basic thing going first before we decide to go ahead and just do that. So let's make sure that that works. So in main, what I'd like to do is var flow layout panel, let's say, new flow layout panel. Padding to, yeah, just leave the defaults there like that. And I am going to add a control. So let's put in a new label. I should probably put down some defaults here. So let's put in some parameters in here. This dot text is equal to text like that. All right. So that's going to be label A, just for the purposes of demonstration. New label B, and add control, new label C, like that. And then all I want to do is just trace on flp.display and see how that comes back as. So let's go back to command prompt. Unexpected colon 35. Where is that? No completion. But that's a meta tag. What's wrong with that? Was it complaining about? Hang on, let me take a look at that again. Flow layout panel, line 35, characters 41 to 42. Unexpected colon. What are you talking about? That's to define this objects here. Sometimes the Haxe compiler can be really annoying. It doesn't give you meaningful errors. Let me just get rid of that and see what's going on. See if that makes a difference. No. No, it does not. Why is it doing that for? I really don't get that. It's an array of controls. What's wrong with that? Do you get that? Because I don't. Oh, it's a... Idiot. It's a function. Completely misread that. Missing super constructor. Okay. Should have probably done that. Okay. Too many arguments. Line 58. Oh yeah, because I got rid of that in the end, didn't I? Get rid of that. I should probably do it here as well. Like that. Okay. In your own time. There we go. Cool. So it's now got a series of children. We've got label A, label B, label C. So that's all working. Cool. Getting somewhere. So now what I'd like to do is actually do something with these children. So I want to be able to position them in such a way so that we can actually work on actually getting the flow working, let's say. So I am going to get an item, which is of course going to be every object in this array. And now what I'd like to do is determine which direction this control is flowing in. So we're going to say flow direction. And the case is going to be either flow direction down. So if it's going down, what I'd like to do is have the width exactly the same width as the flow layout panel for each control, right? Because we're sort of docking up, I suppose you could say. And then we flow down. The same goes with if we're flowing right. Yeah. We start with the X position and we modify the X position accordingly. Okay. So what's the best way to do this? I should probably put this as a control so that we know what we're talking about. So in here, what I'd like to do, in fact, first of all, I need to be able to measure the pixels either from the left or right so that we know where to put our X or Y position for the next control. In fact, that should actually be before the array like that. That should be 0. Get rid of that empty space. Okay. So item.width is always going to be the width of this control. Now the item height, we're not going to fiddle about with that because we don't need to, because we're actually going downwards, if that makes any sense. So X position, now we've got padding, so that's going to determine whether or not we're going to be separating controls. So I don't know if I should affect padding for the sort of margin between the top of the object or not. I don't think I should. So we'll do I times, and then what am I thinking? I don't actually know. I'm not very good with maths. I do apologise. I know what I'm talking about, and I sort of know what I'm doing. This is brilliant. Yeah. Okay. So let's just leave that at 0 for the timing, and item Y. That's going to be I. For every item we're going to get, we're going to be sort of multiplying. No. Because we obviously want to use the measure pixels in some way. So we use measure pixels to identify where we are. We're going to add padding onto it, and also yeah, that's basically it. And then we just increment measure pixels by whatever the item height is. So when we go to the next item, the item's Y position will then move downwards, and it should flow accordingly, right? If that makes sense. Should probably put in padding there as well, actually, thinking about it. Plus padding. Yeah. Sounds about right to me. Flow, direction, right. So we're practically doing the same for this one. Item dot height is equal to height. So item dot y, that's going to be 0, at least for the time being. Item dot x is going to again be equal to measure pixels plus padding. And then measure pixels, we increment that by item dot width plus padding. And instead of getting the display for that, we get the display for our item. Oops, like that. Okay. Now, obviously, the trace results isn't going to look great. We're not going to get really anything meaningful. It's probably better if I just create a new project and use this particular thing, or whatever this is, I suppose, in OpenFL. Right. Okay, so we've got 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. Yeah. As I expected, because we haven't actually specified the width or height, which makes sense. So if I were to specify height, let's just put in a random height in here and call it, I don't know, 30. Should lead to a, so yeah, y is 2, the height is 30 for each one, that's 34, that looks good to me. Yeah, y is 66, yeah, that looks fine. I'm liking where this is going. Okay. So what if we wanted to actually use this library in a project like OpenFL, for example? What if you wanted to actually use this library in OpenFL? So first of all, what I probably want to do is do Haxe lib dev SHUI like that, set development directory for that. So now what I'm going to do is just cd out. Oops. I'm going to do Haxe lib run. I haven't actually set up the my environment to allow for the OpenFL shortcuts, so this just looks terrible. But anyway, I'm going to create a test SHUI project or library, I suppose. Test SHUI library, and then cd test SHUI library. So what I'd like to do is in here, let's go to C, go down to testing. Where is it? Here we are. Test SHUI library. I don't think I actually set up Flash Develop to do multiple projects. I'm going to have to close this one. Let's just open this one for the time being. In your own time. Is Flash Develop actually going to load it? Okay, cool. Right, so project.xml, I just want to add xlib name SHUI like that. And in here, what I'd like to do is I want to display a text field for every label that I want to create. So I'm going to import SHUI dot, and that is going to, I'm going to get a flow layout panel. I'm also going to get a label. So for every label that I want to create a text field. So essentially what I would do is create my flow layout panel. So private var FLP like this, flow layout panel. FLP is equal to new flow layout panel. I'm going to keep the defaults again, and I am going to add a new control. I'm going to say new label, label A, FLP.add control, new label, label B, and new label C, like that. Okay, and when I want to create a text field, what I would do is I want to get the results of this display. So I'll get the results. So var results is equal to flp.display, which is this one here. And for obviously I'll have utility functions within the library somewhere that will allow you to do this a bit easier. But just for the purposes of testing, results.children, I want to create a text field. Txt field is going to be equal import text field, new text field. So txt field is going to be equal to, so the x position is going to be equal to results dot children I dot x, y results children I dot y, txt field dot width is going to be equal to results dot children I dot width. Add the child, and then yeah, that's basically it. So let's take a look and see if that actually leads us to the result I was expecting. So Haxe lib run OpenFL test project.xml. Let's test it in Nico. It's faster. Actually, yeah, it'll work in Nico. It'll be fine. Oh, should be int. Wait, what are you talking about? Main 23. Oh, oops. That's supposed to be a length. I wish there was a distinguishment between for and for each, like in C#, but I guess you can't ask for everything, I suppose. In your own time. Seriously, why is it taking so long? Jesus. Oh. That's not good. What happened there? OpenFL. Lots and lots of issues. Wow. I was not expecting that. Oh, by the way, I got to get the text of the child. That needs to be casted as well, because otherwise it won't work. So that needs to be casted to a label spec. Actually, you can't. No, you can't cast on that. I'd have to just do that, perhaps. Or what might be even better is reflect.field. Results. Again, there's going to be a lot easier way of doing this. And the field I'm looking for is text, like that. Now, I don't know if this will fix it or anything, but let's just take a look anyway. I don't know what all those errors were all about. Plus operation. Where would have that came from? No. Still not liking it. Okay, I need to dig deep now. There's a lot of null values there, actually, thinking about it. That's interesting. 230, 34, 66. Those look like they're doing the things they need to do. But the widths and heights aren't doing it correctly. So that means... Oh, interesting. Hang on. Let's comment that out and see if that causes it to work. It might do. Again, in your own time. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Awesome. So that's essentially the start of how it would all work. So as I mentioned at the start of the stream, this is a library that will hopefully make it easier to flow controls in whichever other library that you'd want to use, whether it's OpenFL, Lux, Flam, all manner of different things. And this library is specifically designed to just do all the logical positioning and sizing of everything. And that's how it would work. It would do all of the positioning and sizing for you. So you don't have to do all that cumbersome work yourself. So I think that's going to be it for the time being. I've been streaming for almost 45 minutes and I kind of want to stop soon. So thank you for taking your time, that special one person that's currently watching. So thank you for being here. And yeah, I will see you next time.